Welcome to Indie Game Connect. My name is DanBeforeTime. Guys, No Man's Sky got a whole lot better today. So if for some reason you haven't heard, a huge new update 1.3 Atlas Rises came out today for No Man's Sky. And this is an anniversary update of sorts. It's been almost exactly 1 year since the release of No Man's Sky in August of 2016. Now, obviously, No Man's Sky is a game that's been no stranger to controversy over the last year, right? There was definitely a lot of internet outrage based around supposed lies that were told before the game released, and a lot of people were upset. They were wondering where these features were that they felt like they were promised. So Update 1.3 aims to address those concerns in a very big way. So what I wanted to do here today in this video is go over the rough patch notes and kind of let you guys know what's new about the game and what you can expect if you have put it down and maybe you're thinking about jumping back into it. And then at the end, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with the game. I sat down and played for a little bit earlier. But first, I want to jump into some of the major changes that came with 1.3. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to the full patch notes in the description down below, but let's hit on the main points. So first huge thing that they added, 30 brand new hours of branching story and deeper lore. That is huge. One of the main complaints about this game was that it had no depth to it whatsoever. So a 30-hour story is amazing, and deeper lore within the game. Also, they added procedurally generated guild missions, and in addition to that, much deeper interstellar trading. There's now trading systems, and different systems have varying wealth, conflict, and economies. So if you want to go into trading, that is an option for you now. And that's more along the lines of what was promised with the original game, is that you could be a trader and actually search out different systems, search out what systems are best to trade with, where to get different materials, and so forth. So that's a very, very cool system. They also overhauled space combat controls and weapons and AI. So all of that stuff is different. Pirates are going to react different to you. Weapons have definitely been reworked, and I noticed that just from my very small amount of playtime earlier today. Big thing, one that everybody's been waiting on and talking about. I did a video about it way earlier in the No Man's Sky life cycle. Portals are now active, and they enable quick travel between any planet that you choose. Now there are some stipulations to that. There's codes. Each planet has a unique code, and there are glyphs that you have to decipher. I'm not sure if anybody in the community has actually opened one of these things yet, but they are active. And one of the really cool things about portals in build 1.3 is that they're easier to find, or at least slightly easier. If you find a monolith, there will be an option there to help you locate a portal, and it will lead you to the portal or the closest portal on that planet, which is a really cool system. And I did see some screenshots of that in game, so that is confirmed. Moving right along, we also have terrain manipulation making an appearance in No Man's Sky. So the multi-tool now has some kind of upgrade where it can destroy terrain and then also rebuild it. And they say that this adds more complexity to bases. I'm not sure exactly how this works. I haven't encountered and unlocked this skill or upgrade to the multi-tool yet, but in the trailer you can see some footage of it and it looks pretty cool. So we also have new farming and mining interactions that bring increased depth to that gameplay. I never got too big into farming within the bases, but I've heard that they've increased the depth and complexity of that farming and mining quite a bit. We also have increased biome variety and rare exotic biomes, which this was another huge thing that people complained about with the base game, is that the biomes look nothing like the trailers. So I can tell you just from playing earlier today, my second planet had natural land bridges and a huge blood red ocean. It was crazy, and there was like sand on the beaches. The textures are vastly improved, and the visuals overall have received a major overhaul and look way better than they did before. There's also a brand new class of ships called the S-Class ships. I haven't run into any in-game, but I have seen the ones that they teased in some of the images at the end of the Waking Titan ARG. They look completely rad, and I cannot wait to get my hands on one of them. So the next change is something that the community has been asking for from the very beginning. Low altitude flight and the ability to actually crash your ship. So before, if you played the original version of No Man's Sky all the way up to 1.2, there was a limit to how low you could fly your ship on the planet's surface, and it would actually automatically steer you away from any obstacles. Like, you couldn't crash into a planet, you couldn't crash into tall trees. So that has changed, and you can definitely crash your ship. I did it a couple times today. So the new flight system feels excellent, and there's also this really cool hover ability that when you let off the throttle, your ship will kind of hover across the ground, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of look to see where you want to land. Before, in the base game, if you wanted to land and you were kind of doing a flyover, it was very hard to sometimes stop and get a view of what you wanted to look at. And another thing that really helps that is you can now turn your head inside the cockpit when you're taking off and landing, and when you're on the ground in the ship. And that feature can actually come in really useful for this next point, which is crashed freighters to salvage on planets. So this is something that we saw in the original trailers before the game released, is these giant freighters that have crashed onto the surface of the planets, and you can scavenge them for parts and resources. It looks amazing in game, and I'm really glad that this has been added. It gives more depth, and it feels like these worlds are slightly more alive, which is something that's objectively always been kind of missing in No Man's Sky. The next one is the biggest. We have confirmed multiplayer in the form of joint exploration. So basically, this system sets the stage for synchronous co-op in No Man's Sky, full synchronous co-op. But for right now, it's really cool the way they did it. They tied it into the lore and the story that's happening. Basically, you can play with up to 16 other players and explore the same planet or the same area with them. They are visualized by strange floating orbs, and these are glitches in the simulation, allowing players to see and communicate with each other. So they actually included proximity-based voice chat, so you can actually chat in real time with these people that you run across, or your friends if you choose to meet up on a certain planet. I'll throw up some screenshots of what this actually looks like right now. These are from my friend Elka. He's another YouTuber out of Germany, and he posted these on his Twitter account earlier. I'll link him in the description down below as well. Make sure you guys check him out. Personally, I think this looks super cool. I love the vibe of the floating orbs. It gives it kind of like a Journey-esque feeling to it, like you're there with somebody, but you're still very limited in the way that you can help each other. I really like that dynamic in Journey, and I think it's gonna create some really cool moments here in No Man's Sky. It's important to keep in mind, though, that this is one step on the way to full realized co-op, and I'm sure that that is going to include more physical interactions in game between characters, and of course that will include full character models at some point, I would assume. So we have a new story, a new quest system, branching narratives. The fabric of existence is starting to falter or fall apart, and a mysterious new race has appeared, and the portals have begun to open. I think this all sounds incredible, and it's been such a joy to restart my save from scratch and play again. And I would highly recommend that you do the same. If you're coming back to No Man's Sky from 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, I would highly recommend that you start over. Now, you don't have to start over. All of this new content will be available for you if you choose to continue one of your older save files. However, if you want the full experience from a fresh start with how this game is supposed to be played, it is definitely advisable to start a fresh save file for this and just enjoy the ride from the beginning. In my very short time, I'm talking a couple hours playing 1.3 earlier today, I can tell you that the experience is so much more streamlined, so much more enjoyable from the start, and it just flows nicely. There's story elements tied in right from the beginning, and you feel like you're accomplishing things as you move along. That's something that I feel personally was missing a little bit from the original game in its first iterations. This feels like you're progressing towards a goal, you're uncovering mystery, and you're learning stuff about this vast universe or galaxy that you're in along the way. You're still going to be exploring, you're still going to be going from planet to planet. That is a core gameplay mechanic and core gameplay loop in No Man's Sky. So that isn't going to change completely, but this is a complete game now. I can tell you that with 110% certainty and confidence. This is a complete game now. It's a complete experience, and it's only going to continue to get better. They're not done updating this game. They're going to continue to do so, continue to make it better, continue to refine it. But this is such a drastic difference in experience from 1.0, even from 1.2 1 and 1.2, it's quite a big difference. All of the 1.1, what I will say is the 1.1 and 1.2 updates make a whole lot more sense in context with what came with 1.3. I thought those felt a little disjointed when they first launched and they first came out. I thought these are cool, but I didn't really see what base building had to do with No Man's Sky, and I didn't really see what having a ground vehicle or a freighter necessarily had to do with making the gameplay a better experience. But now that 1.3 is implemented and all these systems work together now in a very, I would say, synergistic and complementary manner, it really makes a whole lot of difference. And now I can see why they were called Foundation and Pathfinder. Funny how that works if you give it some time. So that's going to just about do it for this video. I wanted to let you guys know kind of what is included in 1.3 and my initial very first take on it. Is it worth playing if you put it down? Absolutely. Is it worth picking up if you've never picked it up and you've been kind of waiting to see if something like this would happen? Yes, absolutely. And I would highly recommend doing so in the next few days because it is on sale for 60% off, $23.99 on Steam and PSN right now. So you can get the game for $24. People have been saying it's an early access game, which is probably fair, to be honest. Now you can get it for an early access price, at least for the time being. It will go back up to full price of $60 very soon. If this is something that you've been waiting on, I would definitely jump on it while this deal exists. Totally worth $24, totally worth $60 in all honesty at this point in the game. It's come a long way. I'm very excited, as you can tell, about No Man's Sky and its future at this point. My faith has been completely restored if it was ever lost. You done good, Hello Games. Congratulations. Seriously, I know I can't even imagine how hard it's been for you over the last year to deal with all of the hatred and everything, but congratulations, you've made a pretty damn amazing game, and I can't wait to play some more. So on that note, I'm out of here. As always, I've been DanBeforeTime. You guys have been awesome. And until next time, enjoy your travels.